Okay, cool. So, we're going to get started. So, yes, today is the 13th, and we're doing lesson 13. So, we're going to divide decimals by single-digit whole numbers involving easily identifiable multiples using place value understanding and relate to a written method. So, let me break this down. So, we have been doing adding decimals, subtracting. Last week, we spent a whole week on multiplying decimals, and now we are going to finally divide, okay? So we're doing all four operations with these guys, right? So we're dividing decimals by single-digit whole numbers. So that looks like 1.7 divided by, well, that's a bad example. Hold up. 1.2 divided by 4, right? Things like that, okay? So it's by a single-digit whole number, which is right there, okay? Involving easily identifiable multiples, okay? So, which means we're going to find, kind of like if you think of just a regular division problem, okay? 12 divided by 4 equals 3. So, identifiable multiples, okay, identifiable multiples are 3 times 4 is 12, right? We know that. So, it's almost like, think of this phrase right here, easily identify multiples, as like doing division backwards, right? It's the multiplication part of it. So it's like the backwards part of division, okay? And then using place value understanding, so we're going to still be talking about tenths, hundredths, thousandths, like using that vocabulary. And then relate to a written method, which is just standard algorithm, okay? Which is like this up here, okay? So any questions? Okay, sweet. You good, Brady? Okay. It'll make more sense as we go along, okay? All right, so my friends, really quick, 9 times 2, think about it. 9 times 2, go.
18.
18, good. So this is 9 ones times 2 ones equals 18 ones, right? Or 110, 8 ones. So that's, I just said the multiplication sentence in unit form. Okay? So now we have 9 ones times 100, okay? Think of it as 9 copies of 100. Ready? 9 copies of 100, go.
900.
Yeah, good. 900. Say it with a little more pep in your step, more confidence.
900.
Okay, thank you. So 900, right? So here's our answer in unit form. Okay. It is Monday, I know. All right, here we go. All right, so we have 9 ones times 3 hundredths, okay? Same thing, here we go. 9 ones times 3 hundredths, go.
2700.
Beautiful, 27 hundredths, which looks like 2 tenths and 7 hundredths, right?
Yeah.
So make sure you don't write it like, make sure you don't write it like this, right? Because that's what instead, go.
27,000.
That's 27 thousandths, right? So you got to make sure the last digit of what you're talking about is in the hundredths place. So 27 hundredths, right? Okay, and if that's confusing, you can put it in a place value chart, move things over, do that sort of thing, okay? All right, and the last one. Okay, a little more tricky, but we can do it, okay? So 3 copies of, or 3 ones times 2 and 13 hundredths, okay? I want you to try and do this mentally, okay? Try and do it mentally. You can do it. So 3 copies of 2 and 13 hundredths, okay? Give me a thumbs up when you have an answer. Take your time, take your time. Maybe start from the right. Start from the right and multiply by 3. Think of an area model. Give me a thumbs up when you have an answer so I know you're ready. Take your time, take your time. Thumbs up when you have an answer. I know you tried it. Okay. All right. Cool. When I snap my fingers, tell me what you got.
6.3900.
Good. 6 and 39 hundredths. I love how you guys said that in unit form. It was perfect. 6 and 39 hundredths. Is anyone confused on how we got that? Charlie, question?
No. I did,
It's okay. What was your thought process? What were you thinking?
Standard algorithm.
Well, that's fine. That's fine. You would still get the same thing. But I was just saying, think of an area model so that you could kind of visualize like 2 1s, right? Decimal, and then plus 1 10 plus 3 hundredths, right? And then it's like 3 times, well, you want to start from the right. So 3 times 3, 9, 3 times 1, 3, decimal, right? 3 times 2, 6. So that's why I was saying think an area model. But you could totally do standard algorithm. But it's a little hard to visualize that in our heads. Olivia?
What I did is I just put the 3 over the 3 multiplier. I put it underneath the 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the
Yeah.
the 3 up here. And then I just did 3 times 3 was 9.
Yeah, good. So in her head, she visualized the standard algorithm too. So it's good. So 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. Benny.
I just thought of it like if you took the decimal out, it was 213, and I just multiplied it like it was just one regular old number.
Okay,
Because it
and you
was
did
like-
213 times 3 in your head?
Yes.
Wow, nice.
But it was like so easy because it's just like the small numbers. It's like 2, 1, and 3. But if you put them in like regular order, like 1, 2, 3, I did it like that so that I'd stay in order, and then I put the number back into regular order.
Wow.
So it becomes 6.39.
Yeah, that's a complicated process, but as long as it works for you, that's good. Lily.
Kind of bouncing off of what Donna said, I basically turn them into whole numbers in my head, like get rid of the decimal, and like do it like that, like it was like 200.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would do the whole process, and then because I can't do that in my head. The only like the standard algorithm, I've only ever been able to do vertical standard algorithm ever in my life, and ever since I learned it, like I can't do any other standard algorithm. But in my head, I basically go like standard algorithm, but single numbers instead of a whole number. I do single numbers. Like,
Okay.
3 times 3, and it'll be like one of those like pillar things,
Yep.
and it'll be like 9, and then I'll like do it like that.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. So, and then the takeaway from this, guys, is there's a bunch of different ways, right? There's a bunch of different ways you can do this in your head. I'm just proud of you for being able to do it in your head. It's really, really good. Okay. All right. We're gonna move on. So you guys just did that, huh? All right. I'm going to do this part, and then you guys are gonna join me on the next one. Okay. So it says draw discs to show 9/10 on the place value chart. So I'm going to do that. So 9/10 looks like this. I try my best to put it in a 10 frame, right? Because I can look at that and see, oh, 1's missing, that's 10, right? Just right away I can see that I have 9, right? I'm going to divide 9/10 into 3 equal groups. So listen carefully and watch carefully because there are 2 different ways that you can do this, okay? So there are 2 different ways you can do this. I'm going to show you both, okay? So one way you can do this is think of these boxes below as like 3 groups, right? So here's like 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups. And then I just take each of these little dots, right, these place value discs, and place 1 in each until I'm done, right? So here's 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. And then 1, 2, 3. Okay. And I have 3 in each group, which means that my answer is 3/10. Okay. So that's one way. Okay. That's one way. Questions on that way? Eddie, you can go. Charlie, question?
What happens if it's like an uneven number? What if it was 8?
We will talk about that later. So I want you to pause on that until later. Okay? So that's one way. Okay? So then the second way that we can do that. Okay, let me I'm just gonna rewrite it really quick. Okay? So I'm putting my 9/10 back in. Okay? I can do kind of maybe what you guys are more used to with circling these groups, right? So I put them in groups of 3. So there's 1 group of 3, there's 2 groups of 3, and then 3 groups of 3, right? So how many groups of 3 was I able to make? Go.
3.
Right? So becomes 3/10. Okay, so that's the second way that you can do that. Okay, so then if we're thinking about our warm-up from earlier, right, we have 9/10 divided by 3, which would give us 3/10. Okay, so it's just like your basic division problems, right? But we're just throwing a decimal in there. But so I want you to think about it kind of like how when we were multiplying, right? It's like, or adding even too. We have 2 tennis balls plus 1 tennis ball equals 3 tennis balls, right? So if we have 9 tennis balls split between 3 friends, they're each going to get 3 tennis balls, right? So 3/10 is my answer. Okay? So this question, how does unit form help us divide? It helps us, like what I just said, like with the tennis balls, but if we replace tennis balls with tenths, right, becomes 9/10 divided by 3 equals 3/10, right? So it keeps the same unit. Donnie?
Can we write this down for notes in our math journal?
Not yet. I will have you write notes in a second, okay? Right now, I just want you to listen.
I love this
wait.
example of the tennis balls. It's so much fun.
I know. It's good. And I'm glad you guys like to write that too, okay? So then if we think of it as the inverse, or the opposite, right? Guys, think of it as the opposite, right? This is when we're talking about easily identifiable multiples, right, from our objective, easily identifiable multiples. 3 groups of, oh, my bad. 3 groups of 3/10, right, is going to equal 9/10. So here's one group of 3/10, another group of 3/10, and another group of 3/10. So 3 groups of 3/10 equals 9/10, right? Make sure you don't say 3 groups of 3, right, because that's talking about ones. Do we have any ones at all? No, right? So you've got to be sure that it's in the correct form. If you need to write it in unit form, you can do that, right? So you can say 3 groups of 3/10 like that instead, if that's going to be easier, okay? All right. Any questions about what we just did? Okay. So now, if you could take out your notebook,
Yay!
okay?
Can we write tennis balls?
Stop. Guys, it shouldn't require any voices because I'm still going to be talking while you're taking that out, okay? So this is lesson 13, so please write lesson 13. And then write the date, which is 9/13/21, okay? And then I want you to write this right here, okay? So the example that we're doing is 9/10 divided by 3, which equals 3/10. Okay? And I want you to draw like a small place value chart too. Okay? So you're kind of doing what's in the blue. Yep. Just writing it quickly, okay? So don't forget to write the lesson and the date. Look. Screw top? Oh, okay. What was that? We didn't have enough for everybody. It was just middle school. Who got them? Remember, I want you to, right? If you're talking about the 0, yeah. Tell me, get ready. Give me the pencil. You know where to find them. Now I'm going to move on soon, and you're the one who wanted to write notes. Let's go. Okay, and once you have those things, okay, I want you to write this as well. So you're going to kind of write, like you're writing this basically. So 3 groups of 3/10. However you want to write 3/10. You can do it in unit form or standard form. Okay? And you'll put equals 9/10. I know I'm kind of running out of room, but you'll put this into, okay? So, you may put it away when you're done. Yeah.
Do we have to put it away?
Yes, if you're going to be distracted. No, if you're not. Okay? So if you're going to be drawing and stuff while I'm teaching, maybe put it away. But if you are going to be actively taking notes, then yes, you may keep it up. Okay, maybe about 1 more minute to finish up. If you would like to write 9 tennis balls divided by 3 equals 3 tennis balls, you can do that as well. You don't have to. When we start the problem set, I can come back to this, but I do need to move on, okay? So if you are good, you can put your notebook away, and I'm going to move on. So if you could please get out your flimsy whiteboard, that would be great. Flimsy whiteboard, and whichever place while you chart you have is fine. If you have the one that has multiple boxes, maybe use that side. If you don't, then just use the other one. And then just do like this part right here. I already answered that question, Donna. If you're going to be distracted. If you're not going to be distracted, you may keep it out. Okay, so do this part once you have it out, but do not move on. Do not move on. Just do the first part. I will, but I have complete. Yes, Amelia. Does that have to do with math right now? No. Okay. So we will talk about that later. Okay, and once you've done the circled part, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Once you've done the part I drew a box around, give me a thumbs up. Nice, Oliver. Thank you. If your arm gets tired, you can rest it on your desk. Yeah, ready? Good question. Yep. Yeah. Sorry, Brady, I steered you wrong. Go ahead and put them all in the hundreds. Sorry, so if you put 2 in the tenths and 4 in the hundreds, please go ahead and put 24 in the hundreds, okay? Sorry. If you need to take 2 boxes, you can as well. So there's 24. Yeah, Bonnie?
Like just for a reminder that like the 2 groups of 10 are 10s, can you circle them?
Not yet. Nope. Because we gotta divide. Okay, Oliver still has his thumb up. I'm still waiting to see if we're ready. Okay? If you moved on, give me a thumbs down. All right, cool. Here we go. So everybody should have 24 hundredths in their hundredths place. Brady asked, oh, can I put 2 in the tenths place and 4 in the hundredths? And I was like, yeah, but then I was like, hold on. We actually have to divide first. So when we're dividing decimals using place value discs, we've got to divide everything first, and then we can move it around if need be, okay? So right here we're going to do the next part, okay? So divide 24 hundredths into 4 equal groups. So go ahead and do that on your own right now. So whichever way is going to be best for you. If you want to make 4 groups like this and put 1 in each, you can do that. Or if you want to circle groups of 4, you can do that as well. Okay? So that is up to you. I personally like to circle, but sometimes it's easier to do different groups. It's up to you.
I found it. That's exactly how I did it. I found it easy because I did the first one, and then I did that side one, and then it was just 4 every roll down.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh.
Yeah, good. Brady, where's your work though? Why are we getting rid of our dots? Follow the directions, okay? Okay. Did pretty much everybody get to that part?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. All right. So, like I said, I personally like to circle them, but that's just me. There's no right way to do it. It's one of the 2 ways, whichever you prefer. So I made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 groups of 4. Okay, just because I'm curious, how many of you did it this way, or you circled it? Okay, cool. So from there, we know we made 6 groups of 4, and that's 0 tenths, right, and 0 ones. So 0.06 is our answer, or 6 hundredths, right? Raise your hand if you did the other way, where you made like 4 groups and then placed them in there. Okay, I'm not seeing an even split, so I don't know. So like raise your hand if you did it the other way, where you had like 1 group, 2 groups, 3 groups, 4 groups, and you went like 1 in each until you ran out. Okay. Not everybody raise their hand for one or the other. Okay, so let's start over. Raise your hand if you circled groups of 4. There it is. Okay, so if you circled groups of 4, your hand is raised. Okay, put it down. Raise your hand if you put 1 in each group until you ran out. Okay, more like, cool. All right, so then if we were going to do it the other way, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and I put them in their groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so on and so forth. Spoiler alert, there's 6 in each group. Okay. Spoilers. Okay. So then there you have to be careful to think about, if you do it this way, you have to be careful to just think about 1 group, right? Whereas the people who circled it, it made 6 groups. But here you're making 4 groups, and you have to decide how many are in each group. Olivia?
I would have circled it, just my dots are too close together.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah, remember there's no right or wrong way. Like either way is fine. And if for one problem you do it one way and another problem you do it the other way, that's okay too. You don't have to like stick with one. Just whatever way your brain is going to work best in that moment, okay? So 24 hundredths divided by 4 gives us how many hundredths? Go. 6, thank you. 6 hundredths, okay? So then thinking of it the opposite way, this is something you're going to do on your homework, is thinking of it the multiplication way. So 4 groups of 6 hundredths, right? 4 groups of 6 hundredths gives me 24 hundredths, okay? Who's got questions? Anyone?
No.
Okay.
Really.
Okay. Go ahead and try this one with your group. Okay, you're working together. You're doing this one with your group. I'm going to give you about 3 minutes. Are you ready? Okay. Go for it.
Dude. It's fine. Ready? 32,000.
circle each of them. And then that's what you want to do. So
and then we divide them into 8 equal.
Okay, make sure you're helping each other out, okay?
So guys go.
If someone in your group is stuck, you've got to help them out.
You should be in 32, and then you should be
Into 8. No, the thousands. We should be in the thousands.
yeah, we should be in the thousands.
Let's divide 32,000.
Into 8 equal groups.
So you shouldn't have any left, but you should have 4 groups of 8. Yeah, 4 groups of 8.
No, it says into 8 equal groups, so probably 8 groups of 4.
Either would be fine.
Oh.
Like,
Or no.
Like they said on that book.
okay, about less than 1 minute to kind of finish up.
I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got 8 groups of 4. Me too.
I got 4 groups of 8.
Make sure you're using the unit when you're talking to each other. So not 8 groups of 4, but 4 what, right?
Divide the into 8 equal groups.
How many thousands are in each group?
No, it's the same thing.
How many thousands are in each group? 4. What?
No, mine's 3.
Okay, time's up. Time's up. 5,
Mine's
4,
4.
3, 2, 1, 0. All right, I'm hearing a lot of like 8 groups of 4, 4 groups of 8, right? Which are technically correct. However, the problem does say 32 thousandths divided by 8. So you should be focusing on 8. So whether you split them up into individual groups or like circle them, it should be focusing on 8. Because you don't know that the answer's 4 yet, right? Although we know that 4 times 8 is 32, right? But pretend like you don't know that, right? So you would need to go based off of what the divisor is, okay? So based on the divisor, remember Miss Witt likes to circle, okay? But if you did like 8 groups and then put 1 in each until you ran out, totally acceptable too, okay? But I'm gonna go ahead and circle a group of 8. 1, 2, 3.
Another one.
My friends, this is not, since I'm working, it doesn't give you an opportunity to talk, okay? All right, cool. So it looks a little funky, but I have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups of 8, okay? Which means that I have 4 thousandths, okay, in, or 4 thousandths as my answer, okay? 4 thousandths as my answer, okay? Which when we think of it, when we think of it as a multiplication sentence, right? Okay, I want you to think about this on your own. You're going to say it as a class, okay? So 8 groups of blank equals 32 thousandths, okay? So think of the unit, okay? Are you ready?
Yep.
Do you have an answer?
Yep.
Okay. 8 groups of,
3,000.
good, 4 thousandths equals 32 thousandths, okay? Everybody kind of know what they're doing?
I think so.
Okay, so on your homework and the problem set, you're going to be doing like both of these things, okay? You won't have a place value chart, but if you want to use a place value chart, go for it. Use your flimsy one, okay? So we're going to pass out the problem set, and I'm going to explain it a little bit, okay? Just as far as directions go. And then I'll give you we're only going to spend 5 minutes on it, and then we're going to move on, okay? Jimena? So sorry, one more time. Absolutely, yep, you can use that if you need to.
I didn't know.
So I had to switch Leela out because she's absent, right? So, gardening crew is 15 and
13,
17.
5, 13.
15 and 14.
Oh, who's that?
Here, right? Right. So everybody gets one
I
of
was
these.
in probably one. No, I was the first one.
And you guys, you can, I printed enough
I'm
for
retired gardener.
those guys, but you can recycle them.
Yeah, I'm
Secret hiding